Hey guys, this is Jackie from Jack Gets Lost on a Book Haul. Okay, so I just made this video once already and I got interrupted by a phone call for an appointment. So I'm gonna try this again. 1 second. Dang it. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I need to make an allergy appointment, and usually my parents help me with that, so I need to let my mom know. Okay, so since it is February, and Valentine's Day is this month, I don't know if I'm gonna continue this through the whole month of through February, but I decided to talk about my favorite couples in books, movies, and TV shows. The first one I did was the Captain and Maria from Sound of Music. So my next favorite couple I'm going to talk about is Belle and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. I love this couple. It was one of my favorite couples. The first couple I ever fell in love with. Now, in case you don't, if you're living under a rock, I'll give you a description. Actually, I'm gonna try to do better with this description than I did in my first attempt at filming this. Okay, so Beauty and the Beast is about this prince, who gets cursed because he gets, sorry, my stupid phone interrupted me again. I'm determined to film this, so I'm gonna keep going. So this prince gets cursed because, this old beggar woman shows up at his castle, looking for food and, and shelter, and he rejects her because the only thing she gives him in return is a rose. And he's this very vain, selfish guy, and he's like, I'm not gonna, screw you, I'm not gonna do you any favors, all you're giving me in return is a stupid rose. And she becomes this beautiful, magical, powerful enchantress, and is like, this is bigger than the whole rose thing. You are selfish and cruel and vain, and you don't deserve this. So she curses him into a beast, and is like, and including his whole castle, all his servants, and he's like, and she tells him that the only way to break his curse is if he falls in love with someone and she falls in love with him despite all of his traits. So in comes Belle. She is a peasant girl living in the village beyond the woods where he lives, where his castle is, which in the live action one, they don't explain this in the original anime movie, but in the live action movie, they explain that the enchantress made everyone forget them, that they existed. So, Belle is this village girl. She stands out. She's very different in her village. She loves reading. She's very smart. It's just her and her father, who is in the animated one. He's an inventor. He invented this machine that chops wood. While in the live action one, he makes these exquisite, beautiful music boxes. And he decides to go. He is going to take his product and sell it at this local fair, and ask Belle what he can bring back for her. And all she asks for is a beautiful rose, a simple rose. So he leaves, and meanwhile, Belle is dealing with the advances of Gaston, who is the town hunk. Everybody loves him. Everyone swoons over him. And He sees Belle as the most beautiful girl in the village and wants to marry her, despite the fact that once he marries her and she makes babies for him, he's not going to care about her. She'll just do her job, and then he'll go flirt and hook up with another woman. So she's like trying to reject him when he proposes marriage as politely as possible. But he doesn't know how to take no for an answer, so he keeps pursuing her and is determined to ask her father. So, meanwhile, her father is in the woods. He ends up getting lost and ends up in the very woods where the Beast's castle is. And at the same time, these wolves show up and attack him. And to escape the wolves, he discovers the castle and decides to go there for shelter because he doesn't want to get eaten, and it's cold. So he goes in there. The objects, despite the objects welcome him to the castle, except for Cosworth, who's all like, no, we can't have these people. This is the Beast's palace, or the Master's palace, and everything. Now this is another one that's done a little differently. Like, he freaks out when he sees the enchanted objects, but in the real movie, in the live action one, he's all cool with it. He freaks out, but in the anime movie, he's actually fascinated by it. Because, in animated Disney movies, apparently no one questions talking animals or objects or anything like that. But, unfortunately, the Beast catches him. Now, in the anime movie, again, it's different in the anime. In the anime movie, he just doesn't like him there. But in the live action one, he is about to steal a rose from the Beast's garden, which is what started this whole thing. The Beast doesn't realize that it's more than just the fact that he didn't accept the rose and everything. So he puts her father in prison, and then Maurice's horse takes off running. It's like, I'm not sticking around for this shit, and goes to the Beast's palace. Runs back to the village. Belle finds that her father is gone and asks Philippe to take her to her father, and she ends up at the castle and makes a deal with the Beast. He's like, you let my father go and I will become your prisoner. And he's like, you have to stay forever then. So at first, of course, Belle and the Beast, Belle wants to escape. The two of them hate each other, and except, the objects love her and are have these high hopes that Belle is the one that will break the curse. But it doesn't go well at first, and at one point she goes into the West Wing, which is the one place that she's not supposed to go, and discovers the enchanted rose that the enchantress gave him. And he freaks out because, the rose is part of his lifeline. Part of the curse is that once the last petal falls, it's too late, and he'll remain a beast forever if he hasn't found love yet. So she's about to touch it, and essentially he freaks out, catches her, and is like, first of all, she's not supposed to be in his room, and that rose, to him, that rose is his lifeline. So he freaks out, scares her off, and he's like, I'm not staying here, I'm not wasting my time with you, and she goes, gets lost in the woods, and gets attacked by the same wolves that attacked her before, that attacked her father, and then the Beast comes to her rescue. And in the process of rescuing her, he gets hurt, of course, and she set aside her, hatred of him and decides to help him and escorts him back and takes care of his wounds and makes sure he's okay. And then eventually the two of them, after spending some time together, when she starts to take care of him, they slowly start to fall in love. And at the same time, of course, Gaston is still trying to pursue Belle. So he even tries to get on Maurice's good side and help find Belle, but that totally backfires. And then he ends up putting Maurice in an asylum because he starts talking about all this, and even tries to tell everybody that Gaston left him in the forest. And Gaston is talking to his sidekick and being like, if I lock up Belle's father, she'll show up, try to save him, and she'll cry on my shoulder and be like, you have to set him free, and if you do that, I will marry you. Of course, Gaston's an idiot. Okay, so what I love about this couple is that they get to know each other. Most of these Disney love stories. The couple is barely knows each other. They've been spending, I mean, the the best one before this one was Little Mermaid, where Ariel and Prince Eric were together for 3 days and got to know each other. Like, she had 3 days to win him over, which was a little bit better, but still. I mean, and in fact, when she first saw Eric, she was like, "I love you," even though I loved him, even though I just stared at him like a creepy stalker. Um, but these two got to know each other, and they loved each other despite their differences. And that's one of my favorite types of romances. In fact, I can kind of compare the themes of this movie to the themes of Sound of Music. I mean, even though it wasn't about, even though, you know, the captain was not ugly. He was very good looking. He didn't turn into a beast or anything, but he kind of was an asshole in the beginning and kind of treated his kids badly and just kind of was very cold. But, and, very, just wasn't likable in the beginning. And very cynical. So, like, the two of them, they slowly fall in love, and I like that. I love romances where it's a slow burn romance, where the two people get to know each other, and over time they fall in love. They start to see each other's the good parts of each other's personality, the parts that they would like. And there's so many cute moments between the two of them. Like when she's first taking care of his wounds. This is one of my favorite scenes. I'll play it out for you. Okay, so she's trying to clean his wound, and she's like, okay, this is gonna hurt a little bit because she's putting like alcohol on it where his cuts from the wolf's claws are, and he's like, that hurts! Well, if you'd hold still, it wouldn't hurt as much. Well, if you hadn't run away, this wouldn't have happened. Well, if you hadn't frightened me, I wouldn't have run away. Well, you should have been in the West Wing. Well, you should learn to control your temper. That is one of my favorite parts. It's still my favorite part in this movie, in this version. I love that, and I love the part when they're out in the snow exploring playing out in the snow and everything. Like, first of all, like in the animated one, they're trying to feed the birds, and of course, he has claws and everything, so the birds are a little scared. She helps him out to not scare the birds. And next thing you know, all the birds are like flying all over him. They're sitting on his horns and on his shoulders, and it's so funny. But they didn't include that, which I understand why. The live action, they wanted, first of all, it was different, and they might not have been able to get a whole bunch of birds. So I thought that was funny. And then they have the snowball fight. Now, in the animated one, he does not hit her with the snowball. But in the live action one, he gets this huge-ass snowball. Which, I mean, the guy, of course, he's able to get a really big snowball and knocks her down. Which is so funny. I mean, it's hilarious. And then another one of my favorite moments is, first of all, the whole reason I'm on here is because I'm a booktuber. I love books. I love to read. And that's how they bond. Like, when, in the animated one, he didn't know how to read, so she taught him how to read. But in the live action one, he already knows how to read. He just forgot that he loves reading. And when he presents her with his library, this huge library with this huge collection, she's like, have you read all these books? He says, well, not all of them. Some of them are in Greek. And that is one of my favorite lines in the movie. And then let's see what else. And then they bond over. What was the other one that they bond? The other thing they bond over. Dancing. Like the famous scene, the famous ballroom scene. And what they do differently in the live action one is that he says, he forgot. He says he forgot how much he loves to dance. And that she reminds him of that. He forgot the feeling of how wonderful it could feel to dance. And she reminds him of that. She reminds him of so many things that he forgot. I mean, the two of them and they bond over so many things. And another thing that they do differently in the live action one is, well, first of all, there's this little scene where she comes out and finds him sitting sitting by himself on this like garden bench reading a book, and she realizes that he's reading King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, which has the story of Guinevere and Lancelot in it. And her first instinct is to refer to the Guinevere and Lancelot storyline, and she's like, "Oh, so you're reading a romance?" Because he's like, when she says that Romeo and Juliet is her favorite play, he's like, ugh. He's like, of course you love that one, and all the heartache and pining. Ugh. But then she catches him reading a story that has it, and he's all like, well, no, it's about knights and war and all that stuff. And she says, still, it's a romance. Like, all right, fine. It's so cute. And then later on in that same scene, they kind of have this moment of where they realize they're not that different because they both have been, been outcasted in their own worlds. And, he's like, let's run away together. And, it turns out what he means by running away is that the enchantress left this magical book for him that will take you to any place you want to go. Any magical world that you want to go to, and that you want to escape. And they have this beautiful moment where he takes her to Paris, where she wants to see where she and her family lived when she was a baby, and wants to find out what happened to her mom, why she died and everything, because her dad doesn't like to talk about it, which is understandable. And that's where she wants to go, and he takes her there. And it's such a beautiful moment. And there's so many great moments in this movie, and I love it, and I love this couple, and they're so cute together, and they're a real romance. They're real love. It's not that shallow kind of love. It's real love because they get to know each other. They love each other despite each other's flaws, despite each other, and it's a tale as old as time. It's a real romance. It's real love. And that is why Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite couples. So, I hope you liked hearing me talk about my favorite couple, about Beauty and the Beast. And if you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye.